Welcome to the Troy Kearns podcast, where we talk all things real estate, business, and entrepreneurship. Today I have my golfing buddy, good friend, real estate investor, super flipper, Mr. Vegas, Jason Abrams. You're going to want to make sure you stay tuned all the way to the end. Jason's got to drop a ton of knowledge on us. He's got multi-million-dollar flips going on all over in Las Vegas. You want to check him out. Okay, so to digress a little bit, so we were just talking about dishes, right? So
we were talking about my house flooding.
Yeah, it's going to dishes now.
Right.
Okay, so your house flooded, big deal. Dishes matter, right? No, so your house floods, and I look at the dishwasher. And unless you're in a commercial grade kitchen where you're moving lots of stuff, I don't know if you know this, I was a DMO. That's a dish machine operator in Red Robin Talk. That's how I got hired on as a 16-year-old dishwasher. But, so I know a lot about washing dishes. I've washed my fair share. And, my wife is a super clean person. And I just feel like the dishwasher is a total waste of time. Like, just wash it in the sink.
Right, be done. We pre-clean it. Unless you pre-clean it, it's not coming clean in those dishwashers. Right.
And then they sit there. But my whole point is, sometimes you make that call like with the bathtub, or you make that call with the dishwasher, and it's like a little nervous because you're like, well, everybody else already has a dishwasher in a house. But lately I've been making some calls. And, I know I would never do it in a high-end luxury home, but like we sell.
I put 2 dishwashers in every house.
Right. You're putting 2 dishwashers. I'm taking stuff out. But like we've made calls where we're not putting, if we're selling a certain house, like maybe it's a 2-bedroom, and we know that it's probably not a family that's buying that house, we may not put a bathtub in it. We're just putting a bad ass shower.
Right. 100%.
And if we have a big house, we're going to make sure there's a tub somewhere, but it may not be the master.
Right. Me too. Even in the luxury houses, same.
Right. So
I think baths are overrated. I think the world has sped up so much that very few people have time to bathe. They shower. They're in and out.
Right.
Stick and move.
Right. Stick and move. Take a shower. Get your dishes washed. So you recently went into Spanish Trails. It was top secret for a while there, and then everybody else kind of followed you. So we're going to talk about that. So you built this house, and you want to take me somewhere?
But again, we didn't finish the Paradise Palms. We were getting there. So
That's right. Okay.
So it's important about that. And what's important about that neighborhood is when I started remodeling homes in there were no comps, right? So my house on Pueblo, 3539 Pueblo, you can Google that. When we remodeled that one for the second time, we did it just like I would imagine the house would be in the Hollywood Hills. And sure enough, somebody wrote us a check for over the appraised value of the house at the time. They saw the work that we did. They knew there was.
Do you remember what you sold it for?
I do. $455,000.
And what did you pay for it?
So again, we had that loan modified down to $145.
Okay, that was the one that you sold. Got it.
And the insurance when the house flooded, because they gave us, contractor pricing for the contiguous wood floors that we had to take up all the wood floors. Basically, I was able to do the entire remodel for what they gave us for the floors and the cabinets.
Sweet. So you came out
the whole thing. I came out really good.
Came out good. So you sell that house. You move to the other house, and then you go
and I start flipping houses in Paradise Palms.
So you start flipping houses in Paradise Palms. I didn't even know you were doing. How many houses did you flip in Paradise Palms?
I think we did 10. And what happens there is what happens with me every time. The saying that I told you earlier, the Indians take the arrows and the settlers get the land, right? So I would put really high-end finishes in there. The lady that I deal with at Walker Zanger, Michelle Allo, she's fantastic.
She's the one from the Scott Yancey deal.
Right. Michelle and I have been working together for probably 10 years now, and we have a really great rhythm together, and she's amazing. She's just fabulous designer, and we collaborate on all of these houses. So we would put really high end finishes on there. At the time, a lot of the houses, what we were able to do is when the Cosmo was doing their remodel, so they pulled out all of their kitchenettes. That was all Miele and Sub-Zero appliances. I was buying Sub-Zero refrigerators for $500. I was buying Miele ovens, which is a $4,000 oven. I was buying those for $300.
Wow.
I was buying the 18-inch dishwasher for $80.
Wow.
And it looked like I had a $20,000 appliance package in there when I paid about $1,200 for the whole thing.
Wow. Yeah, and that's something you've probably seen a lot of the hate I'm getting on my TikToks right now and stuff like that, like because they grab the worst moments when I say the word cheap, which I just got to take out of my vocabulary.
Right.
Cost effective and inexpensive. Yeah,
right.
But so you started flipping houses there, and then you pretty much started the fire over there because
right.
So how many?
We're getting above appraised value for all of our houses. We're setting all kinds of new pricing records in that neighborhood, and then inevitably, what happens is the Home Depot crowd comes in right after me.
Would I be a part of that crowd?
Well, you're my friend, so I try not. I try to convince you when neighborhoods have value to put the extra money in. Just
right.
Like
so I listen to your advice
right.
when it's right, but I do tend to be a Home Depot guy.
Right. So everybody comes in and they don't use the same finish, and good for them. Everybody has their own business strategy.
Right.
But they're able to buy homes at a higher price than I am, put less money than I am, and still make, a decent margin. And I just feel like I want to like the projects that I'm doing. So it forces me to always find the new market.
So what Jason is saying, without saying it, is he makes the market.
Right, I make the market.
He's a market maker, like similar to what I'm doing in St. Joe, Missouri right now. I'm making the market because nobody's investing there.
Right.
But they're going to come because they'll see I do it, and then they'll start coming. And I'm happy with that because it'll bring the prices up.
Right. You and I talked about it. I did some business in Kansas City, in that area on the other side of Troost that most people in Kansas City.
That's where I'm buying everything.
Right. Say that, you never want to be on that side of Troost. And I'm looking at the houses and the architecture and the proximity to what's that outdoor mall that they have over there? What's it called again? It's right up the street.
I have no idea.
The nice one where all the nice restaurants are.
Oh, you're talking about the Country Club Plaza.
The plaza, right.
Country Club Plaza,
so,
yes.
So it's right down the street from the plaza. And I'm looking at the architecture. This is for sure going to happen. The architecture is there. The proximity to entertainment is there.
It's mindset.
Right.
It's just
right across from the university. This is for sure going to happen.
Dude, I got to tell you about these buildings that I'm about to put an offer.
I see them on your channel.
I'm about ready to put an offer on a $6 million building in downtown Kansas City, 93,000 square foot. I talked to the guy. I'm walking it again on a Friday with him. I'm super excited about it. I'm actually going to go with an SBA loan. I'm going to occupy 51%, and we're going to put our studio up there. We're going to turn the whole thing into a real estate training boot camp.
Right.
And then by the time I'm done with that SBA loan, I'll refinance it, and then I'll turn it into a cash
for sure
commercial property. I'll put a bunch of Airbnbs. It comes with a parking garage. I'll rezone the parking garage. I'll do a bigger part. But it's just, if you think differently, like I'm starting to think bigger than just flipping now, right? And you started to think bigger, and you went into Spanish Trails. And I remember you told me, and I should have freaking listened to you because your advice is usually pretty sharp. So after he leaves me, after we're neighbors for like 2 years, he never comes over, never says hi. And so whatever, that's fine. We'll just call each other and text. But anyways, so he moves over there, leaves and goes to Spanish Trails. For those of you guys who are listening to this podcast, all right, number one, how can they find out about you? I know you're anti-social media, but do you have anything going on? How can they follow you?
I mean, my Instagram is the Jason Abrams.
The Jason Abrams. And is that the only one you got?
That's all I got.
All right.
So I have a Twitter. I don't know what it is. I don't think I've ever.
Nobody follows Twitter. No, nobody cares about Twitter except for Trump. And since he's off, so nobody cares anymore.
Right. I mean, I don't think I've opened my Facebook more than one time in the last 2 years.
Yeah, we both had our head buried in the sand on social media, and the guy who woke us up for
I just think social media is the devil.
It is a little bit.
I choose not to allow them into my life.
And the main reason
I read a lot. I started reading books again, believe it or not.
Yeah,
like real books.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of books. I prefer that. But the thing I've liked about social media is being able to get to know people, especially bringing people in. And you have a reason now to do it. Like you're like, hey, I've got a podcast. I want you to come in. Let's talk about what you're doing. And then, like, if you wanted to have somebody in that you didn't know, you have that reason. Like,
right, I love podcasts.
Yeah, like I've got it, and I'm a big Joe Rogan fan. So I was like, let me take because we were doing like podcast type of stuff before on YouTube, but nobody would watch it because it's something you want to listen to mainly.
Right.
It's like, you don't want to watch somebody for
Right.
an hour. You might want to have it in the background and be like, oh, okay, I got to check that part out. We'll pull a segment out of there. So you go into Spanish Trails and you tell me, I remember you telling me, you're like, hey, I'm moving here. And for those of you guys who don't know what Spanish Trails is, I want Jason to break down what Spanish Trails is.
So Spanish Trail, it was built in 1987, I think. And it's really the most well-planned, guard-gated golf course community in all of Las Vegas. The people that built that, the Velasco family, really took time and thought about so many different things, little things that make a difference. Things as small as streetlights. The HOA in Spanish Trail pays for all of the exterior garage lights to stay on all night. So you can walk and exercise at night outdoors and feel perfectly safe. Whereas you go to a place like Red Rock Country Club, come 7 p.m., it is pitch black in there.
Right.
Cars speeding through there, you get hit.
And if you're listening, Red Rock Country Club is a newer development.
Right. Newer, nice, is supposedly nicer.
Right. Guard gated.
Right. But Spanish, it's a lot of little things like that are important about Spanish Trail, that the HOA is high, but they replace your roof every 20 years.
They do your roof for you?
Yeah, every 20 years. Every 20 years.
How much is the HOA?
So it's about $550 a month, depending upon the different neighborhood.
What do you get for that?
So they paint your house so if you're in the production homes, they paint your house every 7 years. They paint your trim every 3 years. They replace your roof every 20 years. If in between that 20 years you get a roof leak, they fix it for you.
Right.
Everything. You get the fitness center, the tennis club, the guard gate.
So you're getting value. You feel like it's worth it.
Huge amount of value. And the best part about it is really the location. Whereas once you get up to Summerlin, you're so far removed from Las Vegas that if you have any desire to kind of utilize what's special about this city, meaning the Strip, the restaurants, the shows, all of that, Spanish Trail is like 7 minutes from the Strip. It's
Who else lives in Spanish Trail? So let's talk about some of those famous people that live in Spanish Trails. Is it Trail or Trails?
Spanish Trail.
Okay, because I keep saying it wrong, right?
So there are celebrities and a lot of very wealthy people in there. I'm not gonna.
But there is
I'm not gonna dox them.
I'm gonna dox one of them.
Who?
So a certain very important person lives in Spanish Trails. The guy who runs our entire state.
Right. The governor does live in there currently. I think he's moving out.
Oh, he's moving out.
Yeah,
he's moving on up.
I'm not sure where he's going. I met him yesterday for the first time, and I was surprised at how charming and nice he was.
He's pretty charming guy.
He's very nice guy. Like I've been neighbors with him now for over a year. He lives very close to me, and I'm shocked that I never got to meet him before then, but he is a very nice guy.
Right. I met him before for coffee and he was totally genuine. I could see
why he won over the other guy. I mean, he's engaging, he's charming, he's nice, and you could see by the news stuff he was a really good retail politician guy.
Right. Really I don't agree with everything he's doing right now. But I mean, listen.
But I like him.
Yeah.
But I like him.
And that's why he won, because you like him. He got you to like him. You know what I mean? A lot of other people like him. And he's a pretty charismatic guy, and he's pretty polished and he's nice. So you move in there. And you buy one house. This is kind of your move. You're like, I'm just going to buy here and live here.
I move every 2 years.
Yeah. So you go in there, you buy this house. Let's talk about the first house, because this is where, if you're listening right now, this is the meat and potatoes of this business, of this whole podcast. This is the meat and potatoes. What he has done in Spanish Trails is mind boggling. He has created a complete monster, and he told me for a lot of years, don't tell anybody. But now it's
the cat is out of the bag.
And I definitely couldn't do it, because if I did that, I'm like now your enemy, and I'm not going to do that stuff. So you go into Spanish Trails and you buy the first house. Let's talk about that one. So
the first house was on a street called Castle Pine. So a lot of people don't know this, but Spanish Trail was built on a rock quarry. And we couldn't find any house that we liked on the MLS for sale. So my wife, who is much smarter than I am, starts looking at rental properties. She sees a house on there with an amazing view. I mean, spectacular, ridiculous view. but it's for rent, and it's been for rent for 6 months, and they haven't rented it at the time. So she calls the agent who's got the rental, or she tells me to call the agent. And we call him and say, hey, do you think your owner would consider selling? And of course, he's half into it because he knows he'll get a listing commission.
Right.
But he's not really that into it because he's going to lose the property management.
Right.
So, and I think we told him that he could represent us. We didn't.
Yeah.
He just wanted the house.
Motivation. Give him commission.
Right. Give him commission. And so we went to look at the house, and again, the view was unbelievable. It was so spectacular. It's on a bluff right above where the actual rock quarry was. So there's 4 homes that were on this bluff, and it had an elevated view looking right down a 600-yard par 5 with a water feature that ran the entire distance. So you had this really spectacular water, golf, big sky view,
beautiful.
Which you don't get in Spanish Trail. However, the house was circa 1985. Like, it had pink speckled granite tile.
That's not in it anymore?
Oh, it was like,
Did you paint over it?
So first I overpaid for the house.
Okay.
Number one, the highest comp was $632 at the time, and I paid $650 for the house.
Okay, so you overpaid. That's the best way to get into real estate,
right.
to flip.
Right.
Overpay,
right?
Yeah,
for sure.
Right. Get
overpay.
in.
But I just knew. I saw the view, and my father had a house in Newport Beach where he had this spectacular view all the way from the bay across Fashion Island, and I just knew that views are what does it. And we sold that house for the longest time when we remodeled that one, and we sold it for $978 a square foot in 2014. So at the time we were.
So wait.
So at the time, this is a funny story. The Zillow's estimate for my dad's house was $1.1 million at the time. We sold it for $2.3 million.
So do you think Zillow's accurate?
No.
How good are they at flipping houses?
Well, they're obviously not very good, and I really have a bias against Zillow, and Steve Hawks, who you mentioned earlier, asked me to film a video about this with him, and I'll probably do it. 2014, and I have the pictures in my phone to prove it. I was a Zillow Premier agent. I was one of the first. I bought all kinds of zip codes. I spent $100,000 that year between Zillow and Realtor.com.
Yeah, I spent $4,000 a month with Zillow for quite a few years.
It was big dollars, and they invited me to this first annual Premier Agent.
Oh, you said it was Spencer too?
Right.
Yeah.
And it was Spencer and Greg Schwartz and the guy who's now the CEO, the founder of the thing, and the guy who's now the CEO. I can't think of his name for the life of me, but he was on stage, and I remember him getting on stage, and he's saying, we're going to do the same thing with Zillow that we did with Hotwire or whatever the other app was that they developed. Look what we did with that company. Now you can just flip on your phone and book your airline tickets. You don't need a travel agent anymore. How great is that? And I remember every realtor in that room, there had to be 300 of them. They're clapping like seals. And I thought to myself, this is exactly why this guy picked this industry. We are the dumbest people on the planet. This guy just told every single one of us that he's going to use our money to put us out of business. And these monkeys walruses are isn't this great? This is great. And that was the last day I ever spent $1 on Zillow.
Right.
That was the last day.
I don't mind, the fact that they were trying to do that's their business move.
Right. They were smart.
Yeah,
they were smart, and we were dumb.
Well, I just got to the point
where our leadership was dumb.
Yeah, our leadership's definitely dumb, but I just got to the point with Zillow.
And that's being gentle.
Yeah. Well, they're not. We'll just put they're ineffective. So yeah, there's definitely, I've watched the people who run for the boards out here and stuff and whatnot. And that's why it's important to get involved and not just have an opinion, because otherwise they'll sell you down the river. So when you got into Spanish Trails.
Right. So back to this house, right? So we buy this house and we overpay for it. And, I have an
What's
architect.
the address so they can look it up?
8130 Castle Pines.
8130 Castle Pines, Las Vegas, Nevada. Look it up.
So we have an architect come in and give us an as-built drawing. No, sorry. In this one, we were able to access the plans from the county. So we got the plans from the county. And once you can look at the plans from the top down, you can see a lot of things that you can't see when you're inside the house. And when we saw the plans, we were able to see that if we flipped the kitchen from where it was to what they had as like the den or the family room, we were able to just kind of flip it like this. It would leave this entire front part for either a media room or a casita. And then all I had to do was knock out one wall and the whole thing would open up like a loft.
That was your first footing job, right?
Yeah. So
I remember that.
So I remember thinking, oh, yeah, this is going to be great. I'm just going to knock out this wall. I'm just going to get rid of this post. Because listen, in a 2,000 square foot house, a glulam beam solves everything, right?
Well, and let's go back a little bit. So how much has your construction knowledge changed?
Oh, a lot.
Yeah, I mean, when you first started flipping, it was carpet, paint, change a few things.
No, we would pull walls out and do all of that. But like I said, in a smaller house, a glulam beam solves everything.
Right.
You
header.
Right. You just put in a bigger glulam beam and that house isn't going anywhere. Right. If you wanted to scrape a wall, well, as you get bigger and bigger and bigger, these houses require engineering. They require architectural drawings. They just require different things to the sheer size and weight of the house.
And buyer.
Right, for sure. It's funny. I was at a meeting the other day in Spanish Trail, a guy who's flipping a house, and they're a nice guy. But he said to me something that really struck me. He said, I think people give too much respect to the $3 million buyer. He said, we come in here and we do what we do. He's obviously using the lesser finishes than what we use. And he says, I think people give too much respect to the high end buyer. And, our designs kind of overcome all of that. And I thought to myself, the people didn't get to the point where they could buy a $3 million house by accident.
Right.
There's only so many lottery winners. Right, the rest of the people made their money. They made their money somehow. They didn't make their money by being stupid. They know what's real and what's not real.
Right, and that's what you understand about high-end buyer. You understand who the high-end buyer is.
And I think the way we do houses takes away objections.
What's your thought process when you currently have like 3 major flips going on? You have one on Sawgrass, you have another one in Canyon.
Sold already. The Sawgrass is sold already.
Yeah, so let's go through that deal right now because that's an interesting one. I've walked the whole property from the beginning to the end from when you first started.
Sure.
And so you bought that one for 900 and. So
we bought that one for 1.2, and I really don't want to get into the prices. Yeah. Like I don't like to tell people what I make on houses.
Okay, all right, yeah. So bottom line is you bought it for a good price.
Yeah, and we sold it for a really great price. And the interesting thing was I never allow potential buyers to see my projects while they're being constructed. But
because they can't see the vision.
They can't see it. And no matter what they say, generally they can't see it. They go, oh yeah, I get it. I've built this. I've done that. And they don't get it.
Yeah, they don't.
They don't get it.
If you build it, they will come.
For sure. And I believe that. I've told you this before. People will pay for done. They won't pay for half done. They won't pay for partially done, but they will pay for done.
Right.
Done.
Thinking about everything, every detail.
Totally.
So you go in there, but the biggest thing is just for those guys who are listening right now, he's taking these houses who have lots of angles in them. Back in the 80s, they had like pop outs everywhere. Totally. Circular staircases that
funny
wind
angles
up at the side of the house. It looks like
45-degree angles everywhere. Really weird.
So he's not just flipping houses. He's re-engineering houses. He's adding pools to houses. He's adding.
Right. Sawgrass, we put in 5 multi-slide pocket doors.
And
Five.
what about the structural? What did you do structurally there?
So we were fortunate in that house. That house was post and beam construction.
Okay.
So we really didn't have to re-engineer any of the structure. My wife called it. I like to take credit for a lot of stuff, totally.
Right.
But
behind every good man,
right? She's
I get it.
My wife is a G for sure.
Yeah.
She said, "Hey, you could put a pocket door here. You could, if you could swivel this around and you could put a pocket door here." And when she said that, I went outside and I realized I measured the outside and there was a panel outside where if I just framed the pocket door on the outside, where it would have been a multi-stack, most people would have been satisfied with just a multi-stack door and it would have left that one panel at the end.
Right.
But if you framed it on the outside, you can slide it all the way in and create a new pocket outside.
I just learned something today. I know you explained that to me when we were out in the field, but I just got it today.
Right. And so in three places,
it's like a small wall addition on the outside. Right.
Yeah, and it's not structural. It's just cosmetic. You stucco right over it. It looks like it's been there forever.
Right.
And you push the pocket door right in, and now right off the kitchen, we have 3 pocket doors like this, and it's complete indoor-outdoor living, like a brand new, custom, contemporary home.
I'm changing some stuff on my house, and you got me thinking about a couple other things. My wheels are turning a little bit. We just realized, like I said, the master's too small. I got to pop it out a little bit.
The pocket doors are everything. For me, the pocket doors are everything.
Right. So you're doing one in Canyon Gate too. So basically, how do you see the vision is the question, I guess I'm going to get to, because we could go through all these flips and talk about the money you're making. He's making a lot of money. Let's just put it that way. He's making a lot of money, but this is not a property that you would do on your first flip. This is not a property you do on your 50th flip. This is like a lot of time in.
Right,
he's learning all about engineers, construction, how to do things the right way. And he's laughing watching other guys go in there and just screw everything up, because when you have the vision for it, and he's pretty much changed the entire market. The houses that are selling that he's buying are now in the upper $2, $3, $4 million. You're seeing stuff trade for $2, $3, $4, $5 million in Spanish Trails, which it never traded for.
Right. Totally. And we're going to, a friend of ours, Nick, is doing one in Spanish Trail now also. And I got to give it to him. He's taking the philosophy that you and I are talking about now, and he's pushing it even further. He saw that I was able to get what I got for the Sawgrass house.
Right.
And he's saying, hey, well, mine, I think I can do even better than that. So he changed his philosophy where he was going to do the cheaper materials and get less. Now he thinks he can put nicer material and get even more than I did and push the price higher. And I'm really excited for him. I can't wait to see if that's right.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I don't know if you saw, but the other day I saw him post something.
And by the way, I think him and his girlfriend Vera have great style, and I think they're super business people. I like them a lot.
I think she's got great style.
Yeah.
I don't know what his style is, but I can tell you that house that they just renovated
well, Nick's got great vision then. If you don't know what his style is, then he's got great vision.
I don't know what his style is. Yeah, I have no idea what his style is, but I know he's a ballsy guy.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? And I
and that's what it takes. You gotta be willing to put him on the chopping block.
Yeah, you gotta be willing to, because you could lose money.
Big time.
Yeah.
Right. And this isn't like the $200,000 homes where you lose 20 grand. You're putting upwards of $1 million in these homes in the remodel.
Right. In the remodel.
Right. Just in the remodel, you're in it for $1 million.
Yeah.
Now what?
Yeah. Now
what?
Yeah, exactly.
You got to have your ball screwed on tight.
Yeah. Well, and even if they're on tight, they might get
chopped right off.
Yeah. So that's cool. I'm excited for you on that. So now recently you've got something cool going on that we just talked about. We talked about it on the phone the other day. I want you to get into it. And real quick, just if you are not subscribed to the Troy Kearns channel on YouTube, if you're not subscribed to my TikTok, if you're not following me on Instagram, make sure you go to Troy Kearns channel and subscribe. We're going to be doing another millionaire mentorship contest. We know a little bit about that.
That was awesome.
That blew me up, man.
That was awesome.
That blew me up.
Right. And that guy, you changed that guy's life.
I'm excited.
That's fantastic.
I offered him a job.
No shit.
Yeah, I know I got the right guy there. And I said, listen, bro, I don't know what you make. He told me what he makes. I'm like, right. I'll cover that.
LFG.
I said, yeah. I said, I'll cover that. And then you'll get a percentage of each flip that we do if you're in. And his response was like, yeah, you know, I said, I said, you can leave me right here and go do it on your own.
Right.
No hard feelings. And I wish you do, but I think
all the best.
I'm like, yeah, but if you buy into the system here, we can blow up Houston, bro.
Right. You're going to get rich.
Yeah. And so that, and I didn't want to do that thing. I took a chance. My dad, you know, I'm like, I don't have
lots of good ideas come from dads.
Yeah. And so I was like, and I'm doing the freaking contest. I'm like, why am I doing this freaking thing? There's like 82 people that enter, 31 that qualify that actually can do comment, like, and subscribe. They can complete those tasks, right? So
like my 7-year-old, click my scribe.
Yeah, right. So make sure you subscribe. But so I'm like, okay, so this guy wins. So we spin this wheel. We put everybody in there. We know we got to be 100% legit. So there's no freaking like playing games and picking. Yeah. I got people hit me up that are friends of mine trying to like, I'm like, nobody can win who knows me. Nobody can win who's got a wife who knows me because it's not going to appear real.
Right.
So we put everybody in there. We disqualified people who actually didn't get that. You know what I mean? And we go.
So you cut me out?
Yeah, sorry. I did have actually my buddy's wife literally say, how do I? I'm like, get out, get real. Like, get real. Right. Like, if you know me, it's going to appear.
You can't. You're right. You can't.
Yeah.
It's got to be legit.
Yeah. So the guy wins. I call him on the phone just randomly, Joel. And I'm like, yo, you just won. And I'm like, what do you do? He's like, I'm an electrician.
Yeah, you told me this.
I'm like, okay.
Perfect.
And I'm like, before I'm like, we won in Houston. I know that Houston's a good market. I'd been talking to Noah Herrera.
I lost $130,000 in Houston.
Well, you got to be good and disciplined.
Yeah, true that.
So, yeah, I know that
I got my ass handed to me there.
Right. And we know Noah, and Noah went there and he got his butt kicked too, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And so
he sold me the house that I got my ass kicked on.
Well, yeah. So maybe you got your butt kicked worse. I had been talking about going to Houston for years and years and years, as you know, and I just never made it down there. I would run into Noah in the airport and I was just like, there's too many people. There's too many people going down there right now. And so when I got there, you know, I'm like, once you get the house, once we execute, I'll fly down there. I'm going to do it. We don't have a contract. We don't have nothing. Right. And I'm like, I'm putting everything on social, bro.
Right. He was down there blowing up. Like he was, I thought he was going to become a billionaire from that thing, the way he was buying houses. Because, when you went down there, we went down there after Hurricane Harvey, right? And Troy, when I tell you, you've never seen anything like this in the United States. I mean, imagine neighborhoods like Summerlin, right? And you're driving down the street and every house had its drywall cut out up to 6 feet high, and all of their belongings and that drywall from the first floor are just sitting on their lawn.
Right.
It looked like Beirut. It was unbelievable. And you're going through these nice neighborhoods and all you can think of, your mindset is still in construction in Las Vegas, right? How easy it is to get people to do things and manage. Noah and I looked at each other and said, oh, we're going to be bazillionaires here. This is going to be out of this world.
Right.
What we didn't realize was that insurance companies pay more than flippers.
Okay.
So insurance companies would, GC would come over and give you a bid and you'd negotiate a little bit. And he'd go, great. You give him a deposit and the insurance company who had the next 5 houses next to yours would say, oh yeah, you're doing this house, huh? Well, here's 3 times the amount of money that guy was going to pay you and you'll have these 5 houses. And they would just take your guy right away, and your job was at a standstill.
I'm having a hard time following that. So tell me what would happen. So so
flippers just can't. So the insurance company needed to get their construction done for the houses that they were insuring.
Oh, I got you. So you're saying that the contractors were beholden to the insurance companies?
Not just beholden. They were. The insurance company was just offering them more money. It's simple business, right? If I'm going to pay somebody $20,000 and they're going to pay you $60,000, of course you're going to do their job. And not only are they going to pay you $60,000, they're going to pay you $60,000 per house for the next 5 houses.
Right. So you got no. And as you know, the single biggest thing in flipping is understanding construction and managing crews.
Right.
You could and buying the house right.
And there was no leverage. It's not like you could say, listen, if you take care of me on this one, I'll give you the next one. He's already got 5 others. There's just no leverage.
They're chasing storms.
Right. There's no leverage at all.
So you guys got your butt kicked down there. Yeah. I'm not going to get my butt kicked down there. I'm a
No. Now all of that's done. All of that is done many years ago, and now it's a normal. Environment.
We bought another house down there with him.
Good for you.
And I just told him, I'm like, man, we're just going to keep rolling. Like, we're just going to keep rolling and we're going to see what happens. I'm like, and I told him, like, I feel like you can run this whole Houston operation for me. And if I'm funding it, if we're buying them one at a time and just evaluating each deal, we're going to get better. You're going to get better. Right. I'm going to get better. And then, hey.
I love Houston, though. I love it's so much like Las Vegas. I
enjoyed it too. I like the fact that they build their freeways out of concrete versus asphalt.
Yep.
The way they do things in Houston, man, they do them right.
They're solid.
Yeah. So, okay. So tell me what's going on with this lending program you got. What's the name of the company? What are you guys doing?
So it's Care Capital Lending. We only lend to investors.
All right.
If you want an FHA or a VA or a conventional loan for your personal home, we are not the company for you.
So no consumer loans.
No consumer loans at all.
Right. So if you're looking for a consumer loan, if you're looking for a secondary investment property home, probably not your people.
No, not second home loans either.
Right. Like you want to deal with people who invest for a living.
Buy in an LLC or a corporate entity only. And whether you're a first time flipper.
What's an LLC? I'm just kidding.
Limited liability company.
No, I was just kidding.
So anyway, we only deal with people that are buying homes or commercial buildings in a corporate entity, some kind of corporate entity. And so we do things from first-time flippers to the flippers that are doing 60 homes a month.
Are there flippers doing 60 homes a month?
Well, there's a couple guys in town here that are doing it big.
Who's doing it big right now? Jared Weiss just passed away.
I do.
That's sad.
I only had one dealing with him.
He was a great guy.
I got that impression over the phone when the one dealing that we had. He was just a no BS. It was, hey, let's try to make this work. Right. I mean, he just knew how to maneuver, and you could tell that on the phone. And you never like to hear anybody.
But he was a genuine guy. I can tell you that he wasn't like a crook or a thief. Yeah. He was just a hard worker.
He did big business.
Yeah,
he did big.
He saw that short sale thing coming.
He did big. He did big stuff, and like Ryan Panetta is doing big business here now. Right. Casey, Josh Galindo, who I know you're going to have on.
Yeah, and Ryan's coming on.
Who?
And Ryan's coming on.
Ryan, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, those guys are all super solid.
Well, and Josh, I mean, I feel like Josh changed my game on flipping. Like I like saw his stuff and I'm like, I'm not doing the waterfalls like y'all, but
I think he was the first guy to be doing volume that really took some time and put style into his projects. Like his stuff looks right out of like an HGTV.
Yeah, he takes a lot of pride.
Right. Yeah, you could tell that. It was respectable to see him make that transformation because he wasn't always like that. And I feel like that there was a point in time where all of a sudden it flipped and all of his houses had good style. There was no more, speckled granite countertops or any of that kind of cheap bull nose. There was no more bull nose countertops or any of that.
Right. So yeah. So the if I'm an investor and I get this question all the time on Instagram, the one thing about blowing up on social media and as you're doing it all yourself in terms of like the stories and everything, like, engagement is 99% of it.
Right,
so
right.
I'm constantly,
even I know that.
Yeah. So I'm responding to people all the time and I'm saying everything like that. And one of the biggest questions I get is, where can I get money? And so will you guys lend people money that have got their first flip going as long
Totally.
Okay.
Totally. And now obviously you don't get the same rate as the person who's doing 20 a month or 20 a year, whatever. But we can lend to flippers. We lend 90% of the purchase price and 100% of the rehab.
Okay, great. What's your rate on that?
We can go as low as 1 and 7.5.
So break that down. So 1% upfront for origination, 7.5% interest rate, which is actually beating the rate that I'm currently paying. So I see where you set that up. Right below the major right below the major competitor.
Right, totally.
Okay, cool. Good business move. So
and also we lend rental property, single family rentals, multifamily flips, Airbnbs, portfolio loans. Like someone like you who has what do you have, almost 370 rentals now, we could package those all up into one, or we could section them off into 100 and
will you loan on large buildings in Kansas City?
Yes.
Okay. So I got a couple to show you.
Yeah.
Do you guys do construction loans and draws?
We do.
Okay.
That's how we do the flip loans.
Who are you guys backed by?
I will not say.
Okay, good.
So we have our own banking line.
Okay.
And we sell those loans off.
So it's warehouse funding.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We fund it on our own line, and then we sell it off.
Okay. Well, that's awesome. So and what's the name of the company, and how do they get a hold of you if they are looking for a loan on their flip, if they're looking for a portfolio loan, if they're looking for an apartment loan, do you care about credit?
So for the flip stuff, you have to have at least a 680 credit score. Okay. At least 680.
What if they got 50%? What if they got 50% equity?
So and it doesn't matter. It has to be at least 680.
Oh, wow.
And well, that's not true. So depending upon the equity position, we can get an override. Right. We'll call and make sure that we get an override based on maybe. So if you have a 560 credit score and you've never paid a water bill,
because you know what a mortgage rate does to you,
and you've never flipped a home, I mean, it's going to be challenging.
Right.
But like, let's say you flip 10 houses.
What if I got like Dollar Loan Center collections and I've never flipped a house, and
like your water bill's been late for your entire life?
I've got like 6 evictions.
Yeah, right. I'm probably not the guy for you.
So if you pay your bills, you've got an exception on your credit. You can make it work. It's not just like. And one thing that everybody should understand here, it took me a long time to figure out. I don't know how long it took you to figure out, but commercial financing is completely different than consumer financing. And one little late can take you out of a loan in consumer financing. If you get the right deal with commercial lending.
Totally. And we make it really easy. We pull your credit once a year.
Okay.
Just once a year.
Right.
So long as we have your credit and an appraisal, that's that you're getting your credit, appraisal, and your draw schedule, you're getting your financing. That's it.
Okay. So how do they get a hold of you?
So you can reach me at jason@carecapitallending.com.
Okay. Is that CARE?
CARE, Care Capital Lending.
Okay. Care. I didn't know if it was like for Karis.
No. So, and then you can, so my wife's email also is Charis, CHARIS @carecapitallending.com. She's the licensed mortgage broker. I'm just the biz dev guy.
Cool. That's exactly where you should be hanging out.
I'm the biz dev guy. That's it.
Okay. So, let's talk about a couple other things. What do you think in life has been your biggest challenge? Like just in life, just like where you feel like your mindset has been pulling against you, or it's just been difficult? Because I know like you're like me, we've done a lot of things. You like a challenge. But we always have our weaknesses and we always have our strengths. Like I know what my strengths are. I know what my weaknesses are. You try to focus on my strengths because my weaknesses are just my weaknesses. I'm not an organized guy.
Right. Me neither.
What do you think your biggest challenge is? What do you think that somebody new starting would need to hear? I would say let's ditch that question. What do you think if you're listening? My audience is 17 to 34. Okay.
Yeah.
So and you actually have a lot of people who are a little bit older than that. But if you really hone it down, like 50% of the people who are listening to this podcast right now are probably between the ages of 17 and 40, let's just say. Mm-hmm. And so if you're 40, you still got a chance to freaking, even if you're 50, 60, you could become a millionaire in 5 years. It's not difficult if you know what you're doing.
Yep.
So what advice would you give people who are getting started in flipping, people who are getting started in real estate, besides obviously subscribing to my channel?
So, right, for sure, subscribe to the Troy Kearns channel.
That's it.
Number one.
So
I think that you should always educate yourself before getting into anything. If you're going to flip a house, right? If you're going to get into the flipping business, you should not just educate yourself about that house, but you should educate yourself about that neighborhood and just make sure that that property is right for you. And the other thing that I would say is, I don't know if this is a child-friendly podcast, but let's effing go. Just get started. Fail forward fast.
Fail forward fast. Yes.
Right. Fail forward fast.
Get started.
Go.
You don't look for all the reasons it can't work. Don't look for all the reasons it can work.
At the same time, don't be so in love with your project that you overpay and overdo things.
Right.
If you don't think that there's I'm not a good example, right? Because like you said, I like to go places and set the market. But
you like a challenge.
Right. When I was doing regular houses, every single one of those had to be at least what I thought was a for sure deal based on the comps, right? Only when I started getting into the specialized neighborhoods did I think that I could make my own comps. I never thought I could make my own comps on some 3-2, 1,500 square foot single story in Silverado Ranch.
High Park.
I just never thought I could do that.
Right.
There was nothing. There was no story I could tell.
And no excitement.
Right. So when it went down in Paradise Palms and in Spanish Trail, there's a story I could tell. Like everything's a sale, right? So when I start telling the story of Paradise Palms, I go into the architecture, I go into the developer, I go into, what's special about the proximity of the neighborhood.
Yeah, selling.
Right. I'm selling it, right? Yeah. You have to believe in your product. And the same thing with Spanish Trail or the sections where you live. There was always a sale to be made there. There was a story that I could tell that made my project and that area special.
Right.
But a 3-2 1,500 square foot house in Silverado Ranch that I paint, carpet, and put some
vinyl.
Right, vinyl flooring on or whatever. There was no story to be told there. It was a nice home. It was new. It was remodeled. It was clean.
Yeah. Here you go.
That's it. You need a house. I need to sell. Let's go.
Yeah.
But so education, and don't be afraid to get started. Just go.
Just go.
Just go.
Just go. Time is on your side with real estate.
Right.
How many deals do you wish you would have bought? If you know what I mean, and you wish you would have held on to. Right. Time is on your side. I always tell people time is on your side.
Totally. If you buy a house that has multiple exit strategies, right?
Right.
So let's say you get caught.
And how many more exit strategies are there today than there was?
There's a million, right? There's millions of exits. So let's say let's go back to the 3-2 Silverado Ranch. Let's say you get in over your head.
Right.
There's some things that you didn't account for, and now you're over the point where you could flip it and make money. Well, let's say you had got a loan from us. We'll refinance that into a rental loan. We'll refinance that into an Airbnb loan, and then you just figure out how to make that work.
Right.
You just. If you can't sell it, you rent it and keep it. And then we'll give you the next loan to flip the next one.
Right.
Because you didn't default. You just moved it into.
I've got a couple loans for you right now. I've got 2 in Mississippi. Do you guys do all 50 states?
We do all 50 states.
Okay, great. Yeah. So I've got 2.
There's 2 states, and I don't remember which ones they are. That
probably require. Louisiana. You probably guys don't do. That's Napoleonic Code.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But I think we do because our
probably New York, you probably guys don't do.
Because
sound like my kids right now. I don't know anything and I'm just speaking.
One of the partnerships that we have is in Florida. So I'm pretty sure they do Louisiana. It's the proximity.
Okay. So, well, man, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate you coming on. I know your stuff Jason's a real guy. I'm going to have him on again. If you want to learn from him, this is somebody that you can learn from. This is somebody who's super experienced. He's been selling real estate. I don't even know how long. How long?
Since 1998.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I guess I started selling in 2000, but I had my license since 98.
So 23 years he's been selling real estate, 7,500 properties sold. He's got a mortgage company that him and his wife have started. He's flipped skyscraper. We didn't even get into that. He's flipped skyscrapers in Kansas City. He's done every type of deal that there possibly is. He's lived all over the country, joined the Marine Corps. He's got an intense work ethic, and he's someone that you can learn from. If you're out there and you're trying to get started in real estate, listen to him. Just do it.
Right. That Kansas City deal was one of my fastest.
Well, let's talk about it since I brought it up.
Yeah. I don't remember the numerical address, but it was on Grand. It was a commercial building that we were going to make into a like a loft apartment, loft condos or whatever. And within 5 minutes of us closing, we got a phone call from someone who got our number from the title person that offered us $100,000 more than we paid.
Right.
You know, we thought we were going to make $400,000, you know, on the exit, but $100,000 in 5 minutes seemed pretty
this time speed of money.
Right. Seemed pretty good. So we said, yeah.
Well, that's great advice right there, because sometimes guys will get caught up like, I'm going to make $400,000 in a year. But what if you make let's go back another step. So Jason and I did a deal together.
So my dad said that you can either make a quick nickel or a slow dime.
Right.
Troy and I have been part of the quick nickel crowd for a long time.
Troy wasn't part of the quick nickel. I was on this one. You were part of the quick nickel.
Yeah.
So there was a property on 2820, I think, Geist. I don't remember the exact.
It's funny that you still remember that.
Yeah,
I don't.
Yeah, I remember every deal I ever lost money on, and there's only been a few of them, so definitely remember these ones. So we're doing a deal on Geist, and it was one where we had one of the owners to sign off, and we were chasing the other one so that we could have 100% interest. I was already in the driver's seat and pushing it to get it. I was like, and it was the brother.
Right, you had that lawyer that was just crushing it for you.
Yeah. So we were in the driver's seat, and we were going to take 50% possession and then force the issue because we had somebody who was non-compliant. The house wasn't going. I'm pretty sure there was drugs involved. And I get this phone call. I get this phone call as I'm going full steam into solution mode, and somebody calls me and says, "Hey, you want that house you got over there on Geist? What's your plan?" And I tell Jason, I'm like, "What do you know about it?" And we get into it. He's like, "Well, what if I could get that other signature for you?" And I was like, "I'll give you $10,000." He's like, "Done." It was like not even like a microsecond pause. It was done. I was like, "Oh man, I gave him too much." And then, or maybe I gave him the right amount.
Right, you gave me the right amount to say yes. You took away the objection.
Yeah, so I gave him the $10,000, and I ended up losing $8,000 in the property. So you owe me $2,000. No, I'm just kidding. So but why did I lose money on that deal? Let's talk about it. I did not overspend. I did not buy it wrong. But what I did was I miscalculated that I bought the biggest house in the
neighborhood.
In the neighborhood.
Right.
And even though
you bought the big D in the little D neighborhood.
Yeah, but I wasn't even counting on the BD in the neighborhood. Like I calculated, okay, I'm not going to get $140 a square foot on this one or $160 a square foot. I'm going to get this because I got this. And I should have just held on to it because, you held on to things. Yeah. Sometimes you let the market recover.
Sure.
Turn it into a rental.
Right. Just like we talked about.
Yeah. Just like we talked about it. And if I did that now, I probably would have sold that thing for $350,000 versus $239,000, losing $8,000 if I would have just held on to it for a year.
It's funny that you remember all the properties that you lose money on. I don't. I let that shit roll off my back so fast. I don't ever want to think about those houses again. I learned the lesson from them, and then I dismiss them from my mind.
Well, yeah, I don't remember them I'm like, oh my God, I can't remember that ever happened to me. I'm like, what mistake did I learn from this one? Yeah. And how do I not repeat that mistake again?
But like my biggest loss was that one in Houston, and I never think about that house.
Right.
So I thought I was going to get a free truck this year.
Let's talk about what did you do when you closed that property? So people understand what you actually did.
I stroked a check for $132,000.
So to sell the property, when he wrote
$132,000 check.
So he went. So just so you know, you can lose money in real estate. He went to the title office because the property was so bad. He wrote up a check for $132,000. Do you think if you held on to it today?
Oh, it's worth. It's probably worth at least double from what I was into it with.
Right.
At least double. And I could have rented it, and I think I would have taken about like $1,000 a month negative cash flow on it. Because I was into this thing for my, at the time I was borrowing money at like 12%.
Right.
And just those interest payments on what did I have into it? On $400,000, right? Were just
crushing
me.
Right.
And at the time I needed to be headache free. I think for me, like I see problems, I sprinkle some money on those problems, and magically they go away. And that's just always been my philosophy. Problems come up, sprinkle a little money, see you later.
Right. Money covers up problems.
Right. And I didn't want to sprinkle a little bit of money every single month and have that on my head.
Right.
I had money. I had a problem. I sprinkled the money on it.
You didn't sprinkle it, dude.
Right. Doused it. Doused that problem with
There was no sprinkling there.
Right. So, but what it allowed me to do was have my mind free
right.
to grow.
And there's an important lesson in that one too. Like I would tell you the lesson for me is I like to ride out the storm, but sometimes riding out the storm, and this is something that happened to me right now. So I didn't even realize this was happening to me. So, I've been an agent here since 2006 in Nevada. I'm actually contemplating giving my real estate license back currently right now because of the liabilities that it presents for what we do. When I got to Kansas City, I don't think like an agent no more. I don't think like I could sell this house. I could make this 3%. Right. I think 100% investing. And I realized that I was living in what it was called a dual personality.
It's a crutch.
Yeah. And I got rid of that guy. He's back here in Vegas and he doesn't even want to play anymore. Right. And now the new guy is out. So sometimes getting rid of whatever's holding you back at that point in time to clear your mind to focus on what you need to focus on, which is a great quote I got from Galindo actually, where your focus goes, grows.
Right. Yeah. And I just didn't want to keep having that problem nagging. And looking back, listen, I was fortunate enough to have that amount of money to do that. Right.
Yeah.
And the guy that we were getting our money from at that time, he was a friend of ours. We had a personal relationship with him. So like when we got a hard money loan, it was someone that we knew giving us his money. Like I treated it like it was my own. So I wasn't going to let him take a loss like he's some
why
faceless bank.
Why?
Because that relationship was too important to me.
Because you wanted to borrow from him again, and the relationship's important, and everything's about relationships.
Listen, I don't borrow from him anymore, but I would still do the same thing.
But if you needed to, you could.
For sure. But the way our relationship was from him, I just don't do that. I mean, listen, have I defaulted on houses before? Sure. In the crash, I had a bunch of rental properties and, I was upside down on all of them and, c'est la vie. But
we did just to wrap up and one last thing I want to bring up. So
I made a mistake. If I'd owned those properties today, I'd be even richer.
Live and learn.
Much richer.
Live and learn. We actually saw, and this is, I think that you and I both have this in common, is keep your head out of the clouds with success. Know who you are, understand who you are, because money will bring out the best and the worst in you. And we saw a guy actually in the REO days. I'm not going to say his name, but it was really pretty funny because Jason and I had become friends at that time, and this other guy started becoming friends with Jason, and they started kicking it together and doing. And I told him, I said, "Hey, I just wanted to give him a little bit to think about." I said, "Just be careful with that guy." Yeah. And then I got a phone call. I remember I'm driving down I-15. He's like, "Dude, you were dead freaking on." And then that dude, literally, we were being yentas, I guess is the word, for the next couple of years as this guy self-imploded. Lost his
$2 million a year to zero.
To $2 million a year to zero. Lost his house, lost his everything, had no reputation, screwed everybody.
Right. Sued multiple times by multiple people for millions of dollars.
Right. And it was doing great.
And he lost a good share of those lawsuits because he was defaming people online. Like, it was bad.
Right.
It was bad.
Right. You got to make sure that you don't let it go to your head. With that, I'm going to wrap this thing up. Is there anything else you want to add?
I do.
Yes.
So I just want to say that, and I want to put it out there, that you were right and I was wrong.
About what?
So when Troy and I first started becoming friends during the REO, when you and I first started becoming friends during the REO thing, you were buying every shitty $20,000, $40,000 house that you could get your hands on.
I was trying.
And you kept telling me to do it. And I was too busy partying and living my best life. And before I know it, the market had turned and there's Troy. I think at the time you had like 140 doors or something like that.
Right.
And I didn't. And you were right. I was wrong.
Well, you gave me the credit. You're like, man, but listen, here's the deal. We're in Kansas City right now. We're buying $50,000 houses. We're buying $60,000 houses. If you want to get in that game,
I'm gonna
come over and I got the Sprinter van being customized right now. The one we're touring out, it's getting customized. We're dropping the check on it. The whole point of that is to bring my buddies out there who want to get involved.
Yeah, I love Kansas City.
Yeah, so come out there, bring Karis, bring the family, come and spend it. Like, you don't have to come right now. I'm almost done with this badass house, which we're going to show you guys, but come out there.
Because the hotels suck in Kansas City for sure.
Right. But there are some cool ones. And there's some awesome buildings I'm working on right now, like some really big deals. I'm super excited about.
I see them on your channel.
Yeah, it's going to be, and I have such a time frame because we are moving to Florida, like I told you. So I have a 2-year time frame on my head.
The next time we'll talk about the Florida houses too.
Right. We'll talk about the Florida houses as well. All right. Again, if you want to get a hold of Jason, it's the Jason Abrams on Instagram. And if you want to follow the Troy Kearns channel, we're all over all the socials. And obviously share this podcast, give us a 5-star rating because we're trying to grow and we're providing you real content that you can use and apply and make money. So like Jason said, get started.
Jason at carecapital.com.
That's right. Yeah. Jason at carecapital.com and Karis at carecapital.com. Peace.